Welcome back to the basics of Dionysophy. We left the previous video by saying that eros must be experienced in the heart and not in the head. This video will be a guided exercise, a guided practice on how to achieve that. But first, we must clear up some concept, and the first one is a pretty annoying distinction. Are emotions and feelings the same? According to Carl Jung, no, they're not. Emotions are better named affects, as the things that affect us, whereas feelings are feelings. So what's the difference? Well, feelings are voluntarily disposable. If you have a feeling, you can just express it and then it's gone. It does not linger or, it just goes away. Affects are not like that. If you are angry, well, you can't stop being angry. If you are sad, you can't just stop being sad. You can't reason this out easily or at all. And so that's the first thing, is that affects are possessive, which is not the case of feelings. The second point is that if you are in an affect, there's a physiological condition that comes with it. So let's say you're angry, well, blood rushes up to your head and then you are marked by innervations, and you can actually measure the change in skin conductivity when you are in an affect. So it impacts the body, but that's not the case with feelings. Feelings do not have this measurable effect. So that's the main distinction. If it has you, that's an affect. If you have it, it's a feeling, right? If you can express it normally and just goes away, that's a feeling. If you are in a state and you can't deal with that, well, you are in an affect. In modern language, we say you are triggered, and in Jung's language, you would say that it's a complex that has been activated. So it needs its own category, which is different from feelings. Now, as I said, or at least for me, I experience most of those affects around my head, and I experience feelings around my heart. Which gets to the point. Where is the locus of your existence? Where do you exist? Where is the center of you? Do you exist in your head? Or maybe you exist around here, all the way spread out? Or maybe you don't even know. Well, we're going to try to gather this attention and bring it back within, to the heart. That's the goal. So I'm going to explain the practice and then we're going to go through it together. This is actually from an article from our website, Dream Sanctuary. It's called Relocating Attention Within. That's the text version, and we're going to go through the same thing as an exercise. The point we're going to try to get to is the heart. But it's not exactly the biological heart, it's more the position of the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the parasympathetic system, and the position I like the most is this here. Where is it? If you make a kind of cross and you see the vertical and the horizontal axis, they intersect in that spot, and that spot is the heart. Let me show you. So if I take my vertical axis and my horizontal axis, well, that's here. You might have noticed that I refer to that spot a lot. It's not exactly the heart's a bit below, maybe left or right. It's just a bit above this position. I refer to it as the vagus nerve because that's where it goes. All right, that's our final, that's the position that we're trying to get to. So now let me show you the exercise. It's pretty simple. So first, we're going to gather our attention into two fingers, right? So I'm going to focus on those two fingers. So now when I move the fingers, my attention is with them. My entire point of existence is on those two fingers. Now I'm going to bring them together slowly, 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 and at some point I'm going to lose focus, visual focus. I can't look at it anymore. I would have to cross my eyes. But I can still sense that I'm here. My attention is still in those fingers. So I move it slowly, 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 then at some point it's going to reach a biological limit. It's going to hit my nose. When it hits my nose, I can imagine myself going inside my head. And once I'm inside my head, then I can do a body scan and I can slow down, move to the heart. Sounds easy enough? What about we do it together? Because the goal is to achieve that. So let's do it one more time together. We put our finger in front of us and then we focus all our attention in it. There you go. Now we move the finger and we move them towards us. At some point, you're going to lose visual focus, so you're going to have to imagine that your attention is still on your finger. Alright, we're hitting a biological limit. Boom, the nose. And therefore, visualize going behind the eyes, inside the head. There you go. You are now inside your head. You do not exist outside, you exist within yourself. I know it's a bit destabilizing, but let's keep going. Now, ideally speaking, you can slowly go down the throat, the neck, and you can reside on the spot of the heart. Try to maintain that spot. I'm going to give you some seconds to experience it. If you lost the thing, just do it again. It should not be too hard. You come back inside the head, through the neck, and around that spot. Now, how do you feel in that spot? Is there a difference? There should be a certain calm, a quietness about it. There might be some ache as well. This is probably a new sensation for many of you. It's easy to get used to it. So are you ready to learn more about that spot? You can kind of speak to it. You can say, I'm ready to listen to you. Why do I say you? It's because this is the center of your feelings and it kind of has its own autonomy, its own intelligence. And so it's going to express itself kind of like, you don't really own your body, right? If it twitches, it's going to do its own thing. If it has a stomachache, you can't really say stop it. So this spot has its own autonomy, and if you're ready to listen to it, if you're ready to work with it, if you're ready to take it seriously, here's a very simple exercise. Try to ask it to say yes. Can you feel the expansion? Can you feel like how it opens up a bit? It might be constricted, but there's a large sense of expansion. It's like a fire that doesn't burn. Or it's a light that expands. All right. Now we're going to go into the opposite. Ask it to say no. Oh, it shrivels. Oh, it constricts. That's really, it's not feeling good. I can feel my whole body like, oh. All right, let's go back to normal. Get used to how this spot feels. And let's go back to ourselves. Well, good job, everyone. It's not difficult, but it gets sometimes to be used to it. There's a way in which this exercise could fail. The first one, if your emotions are, if you're not used to express emotions, I remember at first my whole neck would be stuck and it was kind of clogged. I couldn't really go a body scan through the neck. I was kind of stuck in my head. If you are in this case, maybe you need a simpler thing like a journaling practice. In fact, I would recommend this. This is by James Pennebaker, Opening Up by Writing It Down, or Expressive Writing. The goal is to have writing that's expressive. And I'm quoting the self-authoring suit by Jordan Peterson because he actually refers to Pennebaker's research. So I like those three things because they're kind of the same. you need to pick an exercise that is expressive. It's not about being technically proficient, it's about expressing emotion. It's about expressing yourself. So that might be the first problem. And we know men are not really very good at expressing emotions. It takes a while. The other problem could be heart walls. So heart walls has these strange things. They're kind of layers that protects your heart from feeling too much. Because yes, feeling too much can hurt and it can wreck the personality. And so you might have layers because of what happened to you in your past. Therefore, that point here is not easily accessible. It's dimmed. To do that, well, I don't really know. It's a case-by-case thing. Maybe you can clear this up in, I don't know, a good therapy. Otherwise, there's an easier alternative, which is go to the solar plexus, right? You're not going to try to aim at the heart, but you're going to try to aim at the solar plexus. So if the heart is here, the solar plexus is just below the thoracic cage. It's a bit of a soft spot. It's fairly strong. It's quite intense. Maybe that's a better resting point for you. I don't know. In any case, this exercise is really foundational. If you're interested in Dionysophy, that's the very first thing you need to know and you need to do and you need to practice and you need to get used to it. Why? Because this is a pivot point. A lot of things happen in the head, in the mind, right? And if you are inside your head, you don't have a point of comparison. Whereas if you can access feelings, you will realize that you can actually experience what's happening in the head in a more objective manner. So if you have a really strong affect, well, you're going to feel like something's off about this. Something's off. Maybe I'm hiding a pain behind this, right? I pretend to be angry, but I'm not. And so this gives you a point of comparison between what's happening in your head and what's happening in your heart. And honestly speaking, this is a compass for life for me. So I always pay attention to the kind of feeling value I get from here. If I have a very good idea and it doesn't feel right here, I'll push it on the side. Or if I have an idea and I'm like, sounds silly, but I feel like it's right to do, then I'm going to do it. You know, I don't really necessarily trust the head. There's too many thoughts, there's too much conflict in there. It keeps going. It's much quieter, it's much easier to rest in here. I trust this spot more than the thoughts I have. And as you can see, this is a point that seems to operate on Eros. I wouldn't say it operates on Logos. And so this is why I'm emphasizing Eros, is because it gives access to a form of information that is not the same as the thinking process. All right, I hope this exercise was great. If it was a bit difficult, I suggest you do it again and get used to how it feels, how you feel, because that really is probably the point to which your essence is most present. I hope you have felt some of this. I hope you have felt some of the quiet. You have felt some of the expansion and contraction of your being as it responds. And in the next video, we're going to go into something different. We're going to go into a dream, because now it's time to talk about the unconscious. See you in the next one.